Well, hello again, all my YouTube subscribers. Welcome back to my world of classic dirt bikes. Now, in our previous video, we covered the Scottish Classic Motorcycle Club's 2018 Racing Championship, but in this featured video, I'd like to take a quick review of some of the other events I attended throughout the UK during 2018. Now, one of the first bigger events of 2018 for me was this visit to Ballysallagh Road in Bangor in Northern Ireland for a 2-day Classic Scramble event. Now, this was a charity event for the Cancer Focus charity and was very successful over the length of the weekend. Now, this track belonged to Cecil Pearson, who I'm sure you all remember, who has that very unique collection of Jap scramblers. So what we're going to do in this video is take a look at 3 of these events from 2018, and we'll play you some racing footage from each of these race meetings. So as the riders come down to the top of the track to head back down, as you can see in positions 1 and 2, that's 2 of Cecil Pearson's lovely 1930s Jap machines. Now, the rider in second spot, number 26, was James Thompson, who for me was the star of the show over the weekend in Northern Ireland. James rode one of these Jap bikes in the pre-1970s class and won it overall on the day. Then James picked up a little Bultaco to race in the pre-1977 class and won that outright. But not only that, he then picked up a YZ490 Yamaha to race in the Twin Shock Grade A class and won that outright as well. Some rider out James. Now that's James there in number 26 on the little Jap as he heads towards us for yet another win of the weekend. Trevor Calderwood coming through there, number 32. Number 111 there, that's young Harry Stitt, the famous classic bike frame builder. Harry, of course, has had his frames featured in VMX magazine. A very intelligent young man and an absolutely brilliant young engineer. Of course, at this point in the proceedings, the weather was superb for classic racing. Just a little bit of dust being kicked up at this point, but I think that was to change later in the day. So as he comes towards us again, it's the man of the minute, James Thompson, on that Cecil Pearson 1930s Rickman Jap. As I said earlier, James Thompson for me was the rider of the weekend. Very, very quick rider. But for me, the entire 2-day visit to this track at Bangor was all about the hospitality. Cecil Pearson invited me over, and I must admit he could not do enough for me. In fact, he even laid on a little impromptu helicopter ride across the track, which was quite exciting. I think it was exciting for the spectators as well, was the helicopter pilot was doing his James Bond stunts about 20 feet from the riders' heads. So there's James Thompson coming round to complete lap 3. As you can see, a very substantial lead on young Harry Stitt in second place there. Trevor Calderwood, number 32, in third on the CZ. Trevor, of course, won the 2016 World CZ Championships over in the States in that year, so a very accomplished Irish rider is our Trevor. Now at this point the weather took a slight turn for the worst when this quite heavy rain shower soaked the track, but as a good cameraman does, he stands his ground to get the shots. So I just braved the elements and did what I could. That's Gary Smith going through there, number 115 on the AMD CZ. John Allen going through there, number 5. But it's still James Thompson on that very quick Jap Scrambler, as the rain is absolutely torrential now, but perfect conditions for these old style classic motocross bikes. Young Harry Stitt appears to be making up some ground on James Thompson there in 26. Harry, of course, does a good bit of racing as well as bike building, but believe me, if you're needing a classic bike frame built, then this young man, Harry Stitt, is the man to speak to. So that's James Thompson, number 26, coming towards us there to head back down the hill. Harry Stitt right on his heels. Trevor Calderwood is still in 3rd spot. Number 44 is another one of Cecil's Jap bikes, but the name of the rider escapes me at the moment. That's Fraser Dykes, number 63, going through. That's Ian Robertson, number 100 from Scotland there on his old XT Yamaha, going through. So that was the first race that we covered. Now these were the weather conditions about 10 minutes after that very heavy rain shower as the next race got underway. By this time, of course, the sun was out, but the track was still very slippy. Now, as I spoke earlier about James Thompson jumping from bike to bike, here he is in the Twin Shock Grade A class on the YZ Yamaha. Of course, before even one lap is completed, you can see that James already has a substantial lead over the rest of the chasing pack. But many of the riders at this point were treading warily because of the now slippy track conditions. And it looks like we have our first casualty of the very slippy conditions. This rider trying to drag his bike back up. Looks like a Honda CR250. Although I'm unsure as to the identity of that particular rider. But of course, if you're a classic racer who race these twin shock and classic dirt bikes, you should make a point of taking a trip to Northern Ireland and racing with some of these guys. The hospitality is absolutely first class. These guys will look after you, no problem, and the banter and the crack and the racing is second to none. So maybe put that in your calendar for 2019. Just take a trip across to Northern Ireland. From the UK, it's just a short ferry ride from Cairnryan across to Belfast. And on average, the tracks are never more than about 20 or so miles from the ferry port. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the entire purpose of this 2-day scramble event in Northern Ireland was to raise very valuable funds for a very worthwhile charity, and as far as I'm aware, by the end of the race event and once all the donations were collected in, I am sure they raised in excess of £28,000 for that charity over the weekend. So thanks to each and every one who donated cash to this event. As you can see, conditions very slippy now. A few of the riders having trouble even walking, never mind driving their bikes, but managing to make their way around the track. Number 7 there on the little RM Suzuki decides he's just I'm just going to walk my bike round the track, stuff this riding. But he's going to give it another go as he into gear and downhill. You can see the back wheels absolutely full of that lovely sticky Irish mud. But this entire weekend for me in Northern Ireland was more about the friendly hospitality that the Irish guys provided. The racing, of course, was superb over the 2 days, but for me it was the crack and the banter and the hospitality that will make me hopefully come back in 2019. So if you're looking to start filling up your racing calendar for 2019, why not just go to the Northern Ireland Classic Scramble Club website, where you will find all their dates and their events that they will be running in 2019. So that was just a very brief introduction to my 2-day event at Ballysallagh Road in Bangor, Northern Ireland. My next event would take me back to the UK mainland, to the Cumberland Grand National at Penrith. Now, this event was also held in June of 2018 and is hosted by the Kendal Classic Motorcycle Racing Club. Now, this is one of the top events for me in 2018. I always go out my way to make sure I attend this fantastic weekend of racing. Now, this featured race we are going to look at is one of the British Championship rounds that were held at this Cumberland Grand National. There were 2 rounds of the British Championship held at this event in 2018, and we're going to take a look at race 1. Now, we have some big riders lined up for the start of this race, including Chris Winder on that little CR250 Elsinore. We have Aaron Graves. We also have Liston Bell. So as they leave the start line, it looks like a very good start for Liston Bell on the outside there, number 98, as they all negotiate turn 1. Of course, the weather once again was absolutely superb at this event due to the very hot and dry conditions the UK was experiencing for most of the summer in 2018. But it looks like Liston Bell's got an early lead. That's Chris Winder, number 285, on that very quick CR250 Elsinore Honda. Trevor Calderwood in third place. Looks like we've got a rider down in the corner. That's Trevor Calderwood from Ireland, number 32. Trevor riding really well in 2018 and giving some of these younger guys a lesson in how to ride classic motocross bikes. That's Chris Chell, number 264, going through. Aaron Graves just making the turn. There's Lewis Bell, number 9. Number 170 is Michael McNiven. But as they head to the top of the track again, it looks like Chris Winder is now taking the lead on that very quick little 250 Elsinore. Liston Bell keeping a watching brief in second spot on the big Jawa. Chris Chell, number 264 there. Chris, of course, had a really bad injury a year back, and it was only now that Chris was starting to get back to race fitness, but it was going really well at this Cumberland Grand National. Aaron Graves going through on the BSA. Lewis Bell. Oh, another rider taking a fall. Two riders taking a fall in the turn. This grass can be very slidey if you don't watch how you make the turn. And so as they head round to complete lap 2, it looks like Chris Winder is still have the pole position spot. And it looks like Chris Chell has now moved up into second place on that very quick Shenny BSA. But these little Elsinores of Chris Winder's, they're absolutely perfectly suited to these tight and twisty grass track racetracks. Aaron Graves going through there, number 188 on the BSA. And if my memory serves me correctly, Aaron went on to win the championship on that very bike in 2018. Now, if you've never attended this Cumberland Grand National before, then you should make a point of attending in 2019. It's a fantastic day out. There's plenty to do. The organisers normally lay on entertainment on the Saturday night in the shape of a live band. And there's plenty of hot food going around. Occasionally they organise a hog roast, which is goes down very well. But it's a fantastic weekend, and try and put this on your calendar for 2019. So it still looks like Chris Winder has got a substantial lead there in pole position on his very quick little Elsinore. Now, during the Sunday race day, there is usually a packed programme of racing with almost, I think it was 26 races in 2018 for classes from the pre-1960s bikes right up to the relatively modern bikes of pre-1984. So if you have that old classic dirt bike in the shed or workshop lying under a cover that hasn't seen the light of day for 25 years, then I think it's about time that you got your bike out and entered for this Cumberland Grand National for next year, because it is an absolutely superb weekend of racing. Now, number 32 there, that's the Irishman once again, Trevor Calderwood. Trevor, of course, races all over the UK and does a lot of racing in America during the winter and the spring. So Trevor is absolutely no stranger to a classic dirt bike track. Of course, these British Championship races are longer than most of the other races. I think this race was 10 minutes plus one lap. Number 170 there is Michael McNiven on the 360 CZ. But Chris Winder still going well on that little CR250 Honda, and looks like he's heading for a rather easy win for this first round of the British Championship. Chris Chell still in second spot there with Liston Bell on the big Jawa in third. That's Irishman Trevor Calderwood again in fourth spot with Lewis Bell, it looks like, in fifth. That's Aaron Graves on the big BSA, chasing the young Scot as they head up the hill. So as the remainder of the pack come towards us, number 507 there, that's Josh Goddard on that very nice 380 Greaves Griffin. But it looks like Chris Winder is now beginning to make his way through some of the tail enders of this race, and still looking comfortable for that win in first spot. As you can see, the track in superb condition, although maybe slightly on the dry side. Although by the time the last race of the day came along, it was very dusty. But coming towards us, that's Trevor Calderwood being hounded by number 9 Lewis Bell on the big Jawa. Aaron Graves close behind as they head up the hill. Looks like Lewis is looking to make a move on the Irishman, and in fact has passed Trevor, which is probably not surprising, as Lewis will have a good few years on the more mature Mr. Calderwood. Aaron Graves closer than he's ever been to Trevor Calderwood now, looking to make a move further up the pack as they head to the wall-sided part of the racetrack. So as they come round, it's still young Lewis Bell, number 9 on the Jawa, who will still be in second spot. Trevor Calderwood in third, with Aaron Graves looking to close in. Lewis Bell, of course, one of the famous Bell family who race these classic dirt bikes in Scotland and do a lot of travelling around the UK to these big British Championship race events. But as they head round to the top of the track and come back towards us, it's still Lewis Bell on that big Jawa, being pursued by Irishman Trevor Calderwood, number 32, and Aaron Graves on that beautiful BSA number 188. Of course, Chris Winder is still in this race on his little CR250 Elsinore, but he is well in front of this chasing three. So Chris is heading towards his first win of the day, but these three are having a really good battle between them, Lewis Bell, Trevor Calderwood and Aaron Graves. So there's absolutely nothing between these three riders as they come round to complete another lap. Trevor Calderwood, number 32 there on that very quick CZ. Aaron Graves as they cross the line, but it's still Lewis Bell who's keeping these two riders behind him. So as the rest of the pack make their way around to head towards the checkered flag for the end of this first British Championship race here at the Cumberland Grand National, here's your pole position man, Chris Winder, very calmly crossing the finish line for his first win of the day on his very quick CR250 Honda. Second place man there is number 9 Lewis Bell. It looks like he's going to take second spot from Trevor Calderwood and Aaron Graves. Yes, that's a tail ender. Trevor Calderwood coming through in second spot with Aaron Graves in third. So the second race we're going to take a look at from the 2018 Cumberland Grand National is the Twin Shock A class. Now there are some very fast riders in this particular class, with the likes of Mark Fulton, Alan Bott, Paul Chiappa, Walter Bickmore, to name just a few. So as they leave the line and head into turn 1, that looks like one of the Sowerbeys that have taken the lead, number 93 on the 490 Michael. Could be Nigel, but I stand corrected. Second place man there, number 74, Alan Bott. Mark Fulton going through there in third. Craig Smith, Walter Bickmore going through as they head up to the top of the hill. Absolutely beautiful day for classic racing as they come towards us. It's Alan Bott, number 74, who takes the lead. Mark Fulton going through in second spot. Craig Smith, Paul Chiappa and Walter Bickmore heading through to complete the pack for this lap 1. But as they head towards the wall side of this very picturesque Cumberland Grand National racetrack, it looks like Alan Bott is still in pole position there, number 74 on the 490 Michael. Second spot there, of course, is Mark Fulton on that Brian Wood prepared 480 Honda. This 480 Honda that Mark Fulton is riding, number 48 there, of course, belongs to Brian Wood, but the bike was built by Stuart Bland, who in fact is a mechanic with one of the British Superbike racing teams. So it looks like Mark Fulton has now taken the lead from Alan Bott in second spot. As they head back to the top side of the track, yes, Mark Fulton is beginning to open up a short gap on Alan Bott in second place. Alan Bott is of course another one of the British twin shock riders who does a bit of racing in America during the close season and has been very successful at it in previous years. So as the riders come round to complete lap 2, it looks like Mark Fulton is now got a substantial lead on the rest of the chasing pack. Alan Bott still keeping a watching brief in second spot there. Mark, of course, a very accomplished works Kawasaki rider in the past, but just loves these big 480 twin shock Hondas. So that's Alan Bott, number 74. Second place. Number 1 is that's Barry Turnbull, number 1 on the big 480 Honda. Barry, of course, a very experienced and very quick rider on these kind of tracks. But it's still Mark Fulton who is on his way to possibly his first win of the day. Mark now has a good substantial lead over the second place man Alan Bott. But if you're into this kind of twin shock and classic racing, please make a point of trying to attend this event in 2019, because it is usually a fantastic weekend, whether you're riding a bike or just spectating. Please make a point of trying to attend in 2019. It is always held in June or the middle of June in each year, but further details can be found on the Cumbria Classic Motorcycle Racing Club's website. That's Paul Chiappa and Craig Smith going through there on the 490 Michaels. But it's still Mark Fulton who is circulating at a good rate of knots, and looks like he's going to head for a very comfortable win in this first race of the Twin Shock A class. Alan Bott there in second, with Barry Turnbull now in third place. Now, of course, every race from this 2018 Cumberland Grand National event can be found on my YouTube channel. This, of course, is just a short introduction to some of the racing that happened on the day. So if you just go to my YouTube channel, you will be able to see every race from this particular event. So as the riders head towards the checkered flag for the finish of this first Twin Shock A-Class race, it looks like a win for Mark Fulton on that big 480 Honda. So I hope you've enjoyed this first glimpse of the Cumberland Grand National. Of course, the other big event I attended in 2018 was the Kendal Classic Revival Scramble. Now, this was a brand new event for me in 2018. It was hosted by the Westmoreland Motor Club and held at the Westmoreland County Showground. Now, the Westmoreland Motor Club have been holding scrambles events in this part of the country since 1910, when the club was officially established. But one of the races we're going to take a look at today is this race here for the Honda Elsinore class of bikes. These little 125 and 250cc Elsinores had a class of their own at this event. And as they leave the line, as you can see, number 285, that's Chris Winder, who of course did so well at the Cumberland Grand National that we attended in early June. Now, Chris Winder, of course, did really well at this Kendall Revival Scramble during the course of the day, and won the overall on this very quick CR250 Elsinore. Chris dominated this class in fine style over the course of the day. Now, we had a guest of honour at this, or two guests of honour at this 2018 Kendall Classic Revival Scramble. We had the legendary Alan and Arthur Lampkin, of course, who both rode old tackle machines for the Spanish factory. And also, if my memory serves me correctly, we also had in attendance the 1979 World Trials champion Bernie Schreiber, who also was a very popular bull tackle rider back in the day. Now, the track conditions at this Revival Scramble 2018 were almost perfect, although things looked a bit ominous on the Saturday night as torrential rain fell for most of the night, and things were looking a bit doubtful for the Sunday. But as you can see, the overnight rain has wetted the track sufficiently to make it just about absolutely perfect. Of course, it's thanks to the Westmoreland Motor Club and Steve Dent and Jeff Shuttleworth and the rest of the guys who worked very hard during the week to lay on this superb event, and I'm looking forward to returning in 2019. So as they come round to complete lap 3, it's Chris Winder still has that very substantial lead over the second place man. This superb Kendall Classic Revival Scramble event, of course, is one to certainly put in your diary for 2019. But if you require any further information with regards to next year's Revival Scramble, just visit the Westmoreland Motor Club Facebook page, or better still, just log on to their website at this address. So as Chris Winder heads towards his first win of the day on his very quick CR250 Elsinore, second place man coming into shot, whose name escapes me at this particular time. But don't forget, this event would never have went ahead had it not been for the very generous sponsorship for this 2018 Kendall Classic Revival Scramble. The sponsors include CCM Motorcycles, who were the main sponsors for the 2018 Revival. The Coniston Brewing Company, of course, supplied copious amounts of their fantastic ale, and also the South Lakes BMW motor dealership. So it's thanks to these many sponsorships that this event actually went ahead. So it's still Chris Winder out in front, heading towards the checkered flag on his last lap of this first race. Of course, this is just one of two races that we will be covering in this very short video clip. Of course, Chris Winder went on to win the 2018 AMCA British Classic Scrambles Championship in the pre-1974 class on this very fast little machine, and I must say it was well deserved. So that was the Honda Elsinore class race, and the next video we're going to look at is the combined pre-unit and pre-unit twin, along with the pre-60 and pre-68 class over 350cc. Now, some of the riders lined up for this particular race. We have the entire Bell family on the line, with Lewis, Liston and Dad Mike Bell on the right hand side there on his big BSA Gold Star. But as they leave the line and head into turn 1, It looks like Lewis Bell is taking the whole shot. Although it looks like John Cash is now taking the lead momentarily. Number 76. Lewis Bell second, Liston Bell third. Mike Bell coming through on the BSA Gold Star. So as they head their way round to complete lap 1, it still looks like John Cash there, number 76, in the lead, with Lewis Bell second, Liston Bell third. Number 518 there is Phil Roberts. 693 is John Pickering. 146 is Simon Shell. 37 there, David Holt. Mike Bell, number 89. 717 is Steve Jackson. So it's still John Cash in the lead, with Lewis Bell closing in behind. Phil Roberts on the CZ coming through. 693 again is John Pickering. That's Liston Bell, number 98. One of the Bell family, of course. Now, we had a 24 race programme at this Revival Scramble, with classes from the clubman class right up to the big boys in the twin shot class. But as the riders come round to complete lap 3, it looks like it's still John Cash with that very comfortable lead in front on the big BSA. Now, although John Cash had a reasonably comfortable lead in this race, young Lewis Bell, number 9, was closing in on each and every lap, and these two had a fantastic battle right through to the end of this race. In fact, if I recall, Lewis at this time was riding this big Jawa with no rear brake. If you look closely at some of the shots when he takes right hand turns, you can see his rear brake pedal scraping on the ground. So Lewis did really well to keep the bike on track without that rear brake. Eric Miles there, the photographer, coming into shot. Eric, of course, supplies some fantastic pictures at these classic scramble events. But it looks like John Cash is under pressure now from Lewis Bell for this win of this featured race. Lewis has got Mr. Cash in his sights and is looking to make a move for this number 1 spot. But John Cash has done so well to keep this bike in front right from the start gate, as Lewis Bell is determined to get up there and make a challenge for the front spot. Now, if you take a look at the rear of Lewis's bike as he makes the turn, you can see the rear brake pedal hanging down from the frame, and he's done really well to challenge for the front spot without a rear brake. Okay, coming round, that's number 518 on the CZ. That's Phil Roberts coming through in 3rd place. Number 921, there is Luke Jackson just going through, challenging for that position, and looks like he's going to achieve it as well. So as they come round to complete their last lap but one, it's still John Cash on that beautiful BSA, holding off the challenge from Lewis Bell on that big Jawa. John, of course, has led this race right from the start gate. Hopefully he'll manage to hold on for the win, but Lewis Bell looks very determined in that 2nd spot as they make the turn from the start and finish gate, heading down. Still John Cash holding on to that 1st place spot. Liston Bell on that big Jawa, racing minus of course a rear brake, but with these big single cylinder 4-strokes, some riders would say, why do you need a back brake? You just close the throttle if you want to slow down. But as they cross the line for the last lap in this fantastic race, it still looks like John Cash is holding on there for hopefully a win in this race, but Lewis Bell is ever determined to steal that position from him. So with less than half a lap remaining in this combined pre-60s and pre-68 over 350cc class, it still looks like John Cash is going to head to the line for a win in this second race of the day. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed this quick look at some of these other events that I attended in 2018. Of course, more of the same will be posted on my YouTube channel next year. So as John Cash and Liston Bell head towards the finish line, I hope you've enjoyed this very brief look at some of these other events that I attended during the course of the 2018 Racing Championship.